Hey everyone, this is Lori with 3 Keys Astrology, and this is a short forecast for the first 3 days of December. We're in the final stretch. We're done with eclipses, though we're still in that space between eclipses for the last 6 months. My name's Lori. I'm an advanced intuitive astrologer, and I teach astrology to people all over the world. If you're interested in becoming an astrologer, go to www.3keysastrology.com and sign up for those learning modules. There are 4. You'll need 2 an hour and a half sessions each week, and you can become a full professional astrologer after 20 weeks. All of my advanced readings are also offered on my website, and if you have any questions, email me at ducky@3keysastrology.com. Now, the very first day of December is quite difficult. There will be public unrest and a little bit of disillusion, but stay in the higher realm of Jupiter and Neptune for the first day, especially for those of you that work overnight. We have really difficult energy. It's going to be a trying day for all of us, but keep in mind, we Catholics celebrate Advent, and the whole purpose of the joy of this season, this time of the year, doesn't have anything to do with the material world. And if you keep your focus on your family, I can promise you that the very first weekend of December is delightful for home, family, and for people that are very loving and caring. And the majority of the people are. So don't fall into the Mars retrograde Gemini trap of believing everything you hear on the media, because they try to seduce and hypnotize us into fright or flight, disastrous portending of life as we know it. The fact is, we live better than any of our ancestors ever had. The majority of us that are blessed with health, well-being, and good mental acumen. The first day, however, and it's mostly the overnight hours, our moon is void, of course, and it's hard to get things done when that happens, but overall, we've got an opposition between the sexes, which means interpersonal relating is in trouble. We've got the moon squaring Mars, and that's wanting to war with people that don't see things our way. And for the public that is at war, this can escalate tempers and enhance disagreements. Then we've got the moon in a square to Venus and Mercury, and that is fighting about possessions. Those of you involved in court battles, you'll see this come to the front, as well as those involved in custody issues. And I'm sorry, those issues are very difficult, and I offer my services to help you through that with astrology consultation. I'll meet you for an hour on Zoom, and we can discuss, according to astrology, the issues or situations that you're in. The other thing is the moon is conjunct Neptune. Now, I love this vibe, and this happens around the morning. About noontime, the moon moves into Aries, and so things get better, especially for Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. And we get a little more energy by that time. There's a kind of a stagnant feeling overnight into the morning hours, and around noontime on December 1st, things get better. By then, the moon will be conjunct Jupiter. And this is also us connecting. Instead of dwelling on the difficult things that are going on, take a rest and try to use these days of Advent to show appreciation and focus your time on things that matter for the family. Do nice things for each other. Show your appreciation. Do a reconciling of the year, the past 11 months that weren't so easy, especially for Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius. We're still in that crux. The world is, but most especially we with your 3 keys in Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius. We still have Uranus approaching a square. Saturn and Uranus are in this, putting all of us in this dilemma about reconciling our past and taking a look at past to future issues. And the questions are for the world at large, but most especially the signs that I mentioned. Can you reconcile your past to your future? Can you thank the people that maybe gave you some hard lessons in life, but now you're free of those difficult people. Can you let go is really the question, where Pluto is approaching anaretic degrees in Capricorn and helping Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, and Libra kind of get over the things that were going on in 2018 until now. And for Capricorns, the 2008 crisis until now that you're still working on. The issues were so big, they take a while. Can you keep your focus on your well-being and let go and see where life takes you? That's the question. Now, excuse me, like I said, the weekend is amazing. Excuse me again. We have really nice, if you can realize by this forecast that you could have tension with the person most important to you, since there's kind of a battling between the sexes, and that Moon Mars energy is hot tempers. If you can realize that the worm turns or things change around noontime on the 1st of December, you can have an excellent weekend. It's really good for lovers. It's great makeup energy. We've got the Mars in a sextile to Saturn. So all of that militant energy that I was talking to you about, it's now green lights all the way down the avenue of your life. And if you're at work, especially in the military, this is excellent energy. This is great for people in any kind of job that requires strength, force, and willpower. So that's green light, green light, green light. And then a blessing for the population involved in war and for all women, children, and the public at large. This is a great weekend to love your family. It's really good for our children, especially our little girls. And it bleeds over into Saturday, when you should let the passions of the reason you're being light up. Why are you here? What are you here for? If you're not sure of those answers, that's astrology can help you in that realm as well. We've got Mars in a sextile to the moon in a trine to Venus, a trine to Mercury, and a sextile to Saturn. And this again is bonding and forming lasting, everlasting relationships, and putting family, because the moon represents your family. So because we've got the square between Uranus and Saturn, is there someone in the family that you need to make up with? Is there somebody that there needs to be some reconciliation, some forgiveness, some letting go? There's no better way to end the final month of 2023 in this kind of reconciliation. People get so focused on New Year's Eve, and the en vogue trend is to think all these great things, but why not wrap up the 12th month? Why not get your focus back on where it matters? With the world and the stars where they are right now in this moment in time, we've got a pretty flaming star called Antares coming into play. But more importantly, if you watched my videos for November, we're in the galactic center. And not only is the sun there, that's the sun of God, the sun, your consciousness, your mind, and your reason to be, how well you shine for purpose and dignity in this life. But Mercury and Venus are entering the galactic center too. And this is a very high blessing on the female population and on children, despite the corrupt lawmakers promoting the killing of women and children in their maniacal twists of population control. Mars in Gemini retrograde is begging you to rethink what your life is actually about. Do your actions, are they aligned with your values? Are you being pulled into dramas on the media and going along with the herd to believe the things that you're hearing and thinking that it is a good idea that poor populations don't have their babies, which is what these organizations that promote abortion essentially are trying to eliminate? So question that. Now, again, you couldn't have a better weekend. And so I want you to keep your focus on that. And because we have this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, that's the highest spirit. They're brothers, one of the sea, one of the sky, in ancient mythologies, Roman and Greek. And they're with Uranus where it is, which is the higher octave of Mercury, we're being asked and being elevated as a public, as a population by these stars. So with the Sun, Mercury, and Venus in the galactic center, it's the belly button of the galactic center is the womb of the creation of the galaxy that we live in here on Earth. And that's a direct connection to very pure, high blessings, higher spiritual knowledge, and spiritual insights. So it's important to seek rather than be down in the mud in Mars, Saturn, and Uranian disputes, or Plutonian, where everybody you meet you're going to pull into some kind of your hell and your power and control issues. Rather than that, rise. And if you need to be quiet, be quiet. I think there's no question that the major changes on the planet are happening for the fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius. We are all facing major changes in home, family, who we live with, who we share our lives with. Fate, when fate comes in like Uranus, it's unstoppable. That Uranian energy in a complex to the Aquarian energy of Saturn is that definite bringing together the past and the future and deciding to live here in the present and let those things go. Let those memoirs that remind you of sadness or depression or ill times, let them go. And look to see where your Pluto is in your chart. Pluto stays in a sign on average 30 years. And so it's been in Capricorn for the last, since 2008. And it's going to be there until the end of 2023. And where it's going to move into Aquarius for another very long stint. And this is about making transformations from your yesterdays to this current time and living in tomorrow. That's very prominent for the cardinal signs, which are Aries and Libra, Cancers and Capricorn. Now, because we have the blessed moon and all of our Sagittarians sharing their birthdays, and give them love. This is the most optimistic energy, the sun and its power with Mercury and Venus. This is about hope. This is about high ideals. This is about good manners. This is about higher education. That's what you can do because it's sextiling Jupiter and Neptune. This is how you're going to raise your mental vibrations. When the moon changes on Thursday, the very first day of the month, into Aries around lunchtime, this is a compliment for all Leo, Aquarius, and Sagittarius to really dive in. Do you need to take more courses? Do you need to get more educated? Do you need to go move to a foreign land or another place to enhance the life that God gave you? Are you living in a place where you've seen everything, been there, done that, it's boring? This is what the energy and the power of the galactic center is. It is just like I said in the last video, that cord, that umbilical cord that mother gives to child in nourishment, but now we get it by the galactic center. The population entirely gets spiritual guidance and spiritual enhancement from heaven above. So keep your eyes focused on Christmas, the Advent, the gift that it was, the gift of the Magi during this time, in this month. And in that gratitude by the moon, which represents family, think of your ancestors. Think how all of you survived to be here this moment in time and how you're using it. And because Saturn's in Aquarius, which is in dignity, it rules time. So it would be a really nice time to get quiet and journal. How am I spending my time? Am I spending it with the people that matter most? Am I living my life to the fullest? Or do I waste a lot of time? Am I spending time foolishly? Am I where I belong? And I'm happy to help you through astrology if you need answers to those questions. So the cardinal signs of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, you are in the powers of that Mars retrograde in Gemini most purely. And that means that all of you, and this is, I'm going to include Aries in this because by nature Aries have a martial personality and they're a bit impulsive and they're usually very strong-willed and strong-minded. The blessings that Sagittarius can give you, Aries, are great, but you're in a conflict where you're in the same Mars retrograde dilemma that we, the world, are, in a way that there's something about all of you, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and Aries, where you have to ask yourself about the power struggles that you're having. Are you involved in militant mental power struggles? Because this is where it's where your head feels like it's going to rip in half. And with Mars retrograde, it's time to rethink the way your actions are leading to consequences that give you mental strife, pure and simple. Now, the mutable signs are in a dilemma with this very long transit of Mars retrograde in Gemini for most especially Pisces, where health matters count a lot. If you're feeling frazzled, if you're feeling like you need timeouts, if you need time away and you're highly frustrated, it's quite understandable. For Cancers, it's our health. For Capricorns, your health as well. But the mutable signs are Gemini and Sagittarius, Virgo and Pisces. Virgo rules physical health and Pisces rules mental health. And there can be a lot of issues right now because of Mars inflicting his agenda, I would say, on us. And when a planet is in retrograde, it's a warning or a recollection time to do remedy. And because Mars is a warrior and because Gemini rules communication, it's time for all of us to reassess and maybe get better educated about the way we argue, how we argue, who we argue with most, and whether or not we should continue to do that. That is a cure that'll help you. Until Mars really gets out of trouble, I don't like its energy much until we get into after the end of May next year. So the mutable signs are this Mars energy, though we've got all these Sagittarian blessings, can mean that someone, whether it's a sibling, a child, someone in the family, a brother or sister, is aggravating Sagittarians. And there's an opposition, you see. So it could be brother against brother, like I mentioned before. It's definitely a male person or a male-dominated reason. It could be things like legacy, inheritance, fighting over property. And that's very real for Gemini and Sag. Now, this energy squares Virgo and Pisces. And that's where I'm concerned with your health most. Mental health especially, because Virgo can get way trapped in their minds. Pluto's helping you purge things out, and Uranus is not going to let you stay stuck. So get a hold of me, Virgo. I know you're going through a lot of changes, and they'll be for the better if you can do what I said and try to let go. And even if you're not really religious, faith is a trust that doesn't have to do with reason. And that's a big issue on the planet right now. While we're in the galactic center's energy, while we're crossing a threshold into a new year, leaving behind times that we can't ever, none of us have the power to relive the past. And the part of the reconciling past to future is the reality check of, am I living in a fantasy world? Am I living on dreams? Can I take real steps, real action, do real viable things? Because we've got some real strong earth energy helping all of us rebuild, reconstruct, and reconvene as a community differently than we ever have before in history. And that's a beautiful thing. So I don't want this to be too long. It's longer already than I wanted. Overall, we've got the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Sagittarius in a lovely sextile to Jupiter, Neptune energy in Pisces. So Pisces and Sag, naturally friends, naturally people of higher minds and spiritual inquisition. This sextiles for the Sagittarians. That's Saturn in Aquarius. And Sagittarius and Aquarians make nice friends and partners. But then the Mars retrograde in Gemini is quite problematic, saying we need to rethink war. We need to rethink the way we use our words. We need to rethink whether or not our actions are viable and realistic, or are we living in fantasy? And then staying in faith overall and enjoying family, the Advent, planning Christmas, getting ready for decorations, and baking, eating together, and celebrating, because that's really what matters at the end of the day. And I hope that this video helps you to maybe journal a little bit about the way you communicate, what your style is, how loud you get, whether you're someone who invokes the silent treatment, because that leads to nowhere and high frustration. Whether you give yourself, and why don't you comment below about problem solving. Give yourself 5 points if you're great at it, and 1 point if you really need a lot to learn, and grade that scale down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm interested to know, and when you do that, please let me know what your 3 keys are, because that's fun. I offer mini readings for all of you that are part of my private Facebook group, and so now you know who your chart rulers are, and can really enjoy these forecasts a little better. But do take advantage of the very first weekend in December, because it can be very, very, very fulfilling. Bye for now. I'll stay tuned for the rest of the December 2022, our final month's forecast.